The Mazda BT-50 was born out of a relationship with Ford and its Ranger, and that car has proven to be one of this country's best-selling vehicles. However, its virtual twin under the skin, the BT-50, hasn't been quite as successful. It was updated earlier this year, and in this review we'll be testing the top spec GT 4x4. It sells for $56,990 plus on-road costs, and in this review we'll tell you what it's like to drive, what the interior is like, and whether we reckon you should give the thing a go. It's obvious the car we're testing here is loaded down with a bunch of extra cost options like the bull bar and driving lights, side steps, wheels, canopy and tow bar with brake controller. BT-50 is available as either a single cab, freestyle cab and dual cab, and in both 4x4 and 4x2, with the model grades being XT, XTR and GT. There are two diesel engines to choose from, although the 4x4 range is only available with the Ford 3.2 litre 5-cylinder turbo diesel. Well, the engine might have a Mazda cover, but this is Ford's 3.2 litre 5-cylinder turbo diesel engine. It makes 147 kilowatts and 470 newton meters of torque. It's mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission, and fuel consumption is a claimed 10 litres per 100 kilometres. Yep, as the numbers suggest, the BT-50's engine is strong and purposeful. It's got plenty of grunt for cruising along on the highway or even overtaking on the highway. It's great around town, it's nice and relaxed, and the 6-speed automatic transmission really does get the best out of the engine. It's really throttle sensitive as well, even though it does try and run to top gear as fast as possible in the name of fuel efficiency. A bit of a stab on the throttle is all you really need to get it to drop down to the right gear. Now you can hear the BT-50's engine grumbling away, but I like the sound of it. It's not an unpleasant engine note, and even hard throttle inputs don't make it sound thrashy or anything like that. All the general controls, from the steering to the brakes to the throttle, are all nice and progressive. Mazda has done a really good job of putting its own stamp on the ride and handling of the BT-50. Of course, the car, don't forget, shares its underpinnings with the Ranger, but there's enough of a difference between the two to make them stand apart. All sorts of roads and surfaces and different terrain types, the BT-50 is pretty comfortable. But don't expect premium SUV levels of comfort. I mean, this is a workhorse, so you've got to expect a certain level of joggle. BT-50 shares its mechanicals with the Ranger, and so too its off-road capability. Switching from 2 high to 4 high and then 4 low is as simple as turning a dial. And there are push buttons just ahead of that dial to activate the locking rear differential and the hill descent control. You can shift on the fly from 2 high to 4 high at up to 120 kilometers an hour, but need to be stationary and in neutral to select 4 low. To keep it going on rough, rutted tracks, the BT-50 makes use of 2 traction control systems. A brake traction control system, which works by applying the brakes when it detects one or another wheel is spinning and sending torque to the wheel with grip, and it also has engine traction control, which works by cutting power when it detects a certain level of wheel spin. This is what you tend to notice when driving on a slippery stretch of road or when turning right at an uphill intersection when you've given the throttle a decent shove. Select 4 high and the ESC system will be slightly detuned but not fully off, allowing a little more slip to maintain forwards momentum when off-road. Then in 4 low, engine traction control and stability control are switched off, but brake traction control remains active, which is just as it should be for maintaining momentum across broken terrain. BT-50's competitors go for chunky plastics and contrast stitching and lots of flashy bits of chrome, especially in these top spec models. The BT-50's kept it pretty simple. It's actually more of a passenger car style design. Well, at least until you come to the materials. They're all tough, hard-wearing stuff. And look, that's exactly what you want from this sort of car. Remember, it's not a fashion accessory. It's not a Mercedes X-Class. The dashboard of the BT-50 is very neatly laid out. Everything is right where you need it. It's all very clearly labeled. It's very easy to understand. All of your 4-wheel drive controls are right here. Your air conditioning is right there. You've got this big 8-inch infotainment screen. It's an Alpine unit, and it offers Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It also offers native sat-nav. At the time the BT-50 came out with this Alpine unit, this was the first car in their range that offered CarPlay and Android Auto. The screen is nice and clear. However, the finish on it does show up fingerprints that can be a little bit hard to clean off. So what about the seats? Well, the GT, the top spec model, it gets leather seats, and for the driver, you've got power adjustment. Passenger is manual adjust only. The seat base is a little short, but you know the rest of the seat's nice and comfortable. The padding's really good. The quality of the leather is really high. However, the material fit and finish is not amazing. There's a little bit of puckering in some places, but as I said, it's really hard wearing, tough leather that's very easy to clean, very easy to wipe down. It's going to stand up to life in the country and in town, family life, kids spilling stuff from the back seats. It's going to take everything in its stride. Even the carpet is really sort of tough and hard wearing. So I'm very impressed that Mazda has kept the interior simple and solid. So I've set this front seat up to suit myself, and as you can see, I've got plenty of leg room. Back of the seat is actually scalloped out, so there's room for my knees. You could actually bring this front seat back a little bit further. And I've got reasonable headroom. Again, the roof lining sort of scallops a little bit over my head here. The seats are a little bit upright in their design, so you do travel in this sort of knees up position where the bottom of your legs here aren't touching the seat base. Other than that, though, the seats are fairly comfortable. There's no ISOFIX mounts here, and you do have top tether anchors on the backs of the seats, but you've got to sort of wrangle with the seats to connect them up. You do have a center armrest here, though, with twin cup holders. There's no rear air vents in the back. You do get a 12-volt outlet, though. Door bins, of course, and there's a little shelf there. Absolutely no idea what you would store on that, though. As I mentioned, there are no rear air vents, but the air vents in the front of the car are positioned in such a way that you do get good airflow into the back of the car here, so it's a pretty good place to be. So from the ground to the bottom of the tray, it measures 841 millimeters, and the tub itself is just over 1500 mil wide and just over 1500 mil long. Now, as you can see, we've got an aftermarket canopy. It's a Mazda approved canopy. I'm a big fan of it. All the opening windows are really well sealed. There's really good rubber seals everywhere. It's totally waterproof, and the dust sealing is pretty good. As you can see, the whole thing's covered in dust at the moment. There's very little dust inside. When you open it up, and you've got to open this rear window before you can open the tray itself, the tie-down points, it's the same in the Ford Ranger. The tie-down points are probably just a little bit too high up the sides of the tray. They really should be on the floor. Another feature I do like is this easy open tailgate. This means you're not having to carry the whole weight. This tailgate itself will take 200 kilos, so I weigh a lot less than that, so I could easily sit on that. A couple of me could sit on this. It's just a shame that closing the tailgate is still a chore. The Mazda BT-50 now looks better than ever thanks to that tweaked front end, and the left-alone mechanicals mean the thing was pretty much bang on from the beginning. Now, sure, it doesn't feel quite as premium as some of its fresher competitors, and its active safety features, well, they're pretty much non-existent. But its price tag, its rough road capability, its more than enough creature comforts inside, and its family hauling comfort mean that this thing should be on your shortlist if you're looking for a dual cab 4x4.